Today's lesson is on high and low pressure. Refresh your memory. What are each of these instruments? Take a look at the first one. What is it? That's right. It's an anemometer. It measures wind speed. What about the second one? That is a weather or wind vane, measuring wind direction. And you probably know the third one. A thermometer. It measures temperature. Look at the last one. That is a rain gauge. It measures the amount of precipitation. But what about this? This is a barometer. Do you remember what it measures? Air pressure. And that is what today's lesson will be all about. You may remember watching this video earlier in the heat and energy unit. You may go back and watch this video later on in this lesson after you have completed my video. But you may remember learning from that video a few weeks ago that air is all around us, and therefore it is exerting pressure on objects from all directions. You may also remember from the video, and you already know from our other previous lessons, that as you go higher into the atmosphere, the air becomes less dense, and therefore it rises. It is also cooler the higher you go up in the atmosphere. At ground level, we have a lot of air pressure pushing on us. If you think about all the pressure above us in the atmosphere, it's pushing down on our bodies. But you may remember from the video that we don't implode because of this pressure, because we are also exerting an outward pressure against it all. Kind of like Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Think about being in a crowded room. Look at this picture closely. Look at all those people. They are like molecules. If you imagine these people representing molecules, we would consider this to be very high pressure. The wind will blow from high to low. You may remember that phrase from last week when we learned about land and sea breezes. If we take a look at this image right here, on the left-hand side, we see a lot more molecules than on the right-hand side. We consider the left-hand side to be high pressure, the right-hand side to be low pressure because of this. There are fewer molecules, meaning there's less pressure in the area. The wind will blow from high to low. That means that wind is caused when those molecules move from a higher pressure area to a lower pressure area. So if you can imagine those circles and dots representing molecules wanting to move to the right-hand side where there's more space. They want to spread out. And when they move from high to low area, they cause wind. As we just said in our previous slide, wind is caused by air that moves from areas of higher pressure to areas of lower pressure. The greater difference in pressure, the faster the flow of air will be. Therefore, the stronger the wind. So if you can imagine an area of really high pressure and an area of really low pressure, this tremendous difference in pressure means that those molecules are going to want to move faster to the low pressure area, causing a greater, stronger wind. If we have a smaller difference in pressure, then wind will not be as strong. Take a look at these images here. High means dry, low means rain or snow. This is going to be a phrase that you repeat to yourself multiple times throughout the EOG. You are going to try to remind yourself that high pressure means dry, clear, sunny weather, and low pressure means rainy, snowy, cloudy weather. You may have seen this H and L before on a weather forecast. The H means high pressure, and the L means low pressure. They are not associated with temperature. That is a common misconception. Let's take a look at low pressure first. We again know from our previous slide that low pressure means there are fewer molecules in an area. And when there are fewer molecules, we consider this to be less dense. And we know that less dense air wants to rise. And we also know that as it rises into the atmosphere, it spreads out, it gets cooler because of the higher altitude, and it condenses, turning back into a liquid. We also know that when this happens, clouds form. And when clouds get really heavy and cannot hold their moisture any longer, they precipitate. And that is why low pressure areas produce precipitation, like rain and snow. So these less dense molecules rise, they condense, they form clouds, and then they rain or snow. So low means rain or snow. As we said earlier, when air is moving from high to low pressure, it causes wind. So when pressure is dropping, you can expect wind. You can also expect precipitation for that reason, because as we move into a lower pressure area, we are going to see that low, less dense molecules rise, produce those clouds, and precipitate, as we already said. Remember, we also said that this greater pressure difference can cause greater, stronger winds. The more rapidly that pressure drops, you can also expect severe weather, such as tornadoes and hurricanes. So that really strong difference between a high pressure area and a low pressure area can also cause severe winds. Let's take a look now at high pressure. High pressure, of course, is the opposite of low pressure. It has more dense molecules. High pressure means more molecules compacted close together. We know that more compacted, more dense areas or more dense air is going to sink because it is heavier than the air around it. Because these molecules are sinking, there are no clouds to form. There are no molecules to rise into the atmosphere, condense, and form clouds. These molecules instead sink to the ground, they spread out, and they leave just clear, sunny skies. So that's why high means dry. If the air pressure is rising or increasing, the weather is going to be fair and dry. High means dry. Low means rain or snow. Take a look here at this image. It shows both a low pressure area and a high pressure area. Take a look at this low pressure area. Again, we know when there's low pressure, molecules are less dense. When they're less dense, they want to rise into the atmosphere. And as you can see from the color change, they become cooler. And as they get higher into the atmosphere and become cooler, they condense, turn back into a liquid, and form these clouds. And these clouds can eventually precipitate when they get a lot of moisture inside of them. Over here we have high pressure, and that means that molecules are really compact close together. And we know that when they're like that, they're going to sink because they are heavy and they're more dense and they will spread out. This means that there's no clouds in the sky. So therefore it is sunny weather. High means dry. Low means rain or snow. After this video is done, you can go to the last slide as you click through the rest of the slides after this. On this slide, you will see a video about an expert who's going to tell you about high and low pressure. This meteorologist may use larger terms that you haven't heard before, or vocabulary that you haven't seen. That's okay. You do not need to know those vocabulary words that you haven't heard in my video, but you may gain some more information about high and low pressure areas that could be helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed the lesson on high and low pressure. Thanks for listening.